Good evening and welcome to this Facebook Live Insight with Bebrave Befree or Juanita. Juanita, how's it going?
Okay, thanks. And you, Quinton?
All good. I just want to, if you can just give me a second, I just want to quickly go onto the page and just get this shared through to the groups. If you just give me 1 sec. So I'm not sure if people are going to be watching this. If you are watching this, you're clearly not watching Uncle Cyril. Naughty, naughty. But our topic for tonight is persistence. So I just want to quickly share this. Anyway, so yeah, let's get started in that. Persistence. So I actually looked up what the word persistent actually means, the actual Oxford Dictionary meaning, and I just want to read that to get things kicked off on that. It's continuing firmly or obstinately in an opinion or course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition. So I don't know if you want to maybe start. So somebody's already mentioned here, our president is addressing the state of the nation. Sorry, that's fine. You can choose. You can either watch us with this president, no problem.
Exactly.
But do you want to maybe kick off and just from your side the meaning of persistence and yeah.
So I think the best way to really just describe what persistence is through an example. But I think what's really important in that process is that in order for us to be successful in persistence is that we have to have a very strong why. We need to know why we are doing whatever it is that we're doing. Because if our why is not strong enough, we're not going to persist. And the reality is with way life is that things don't always go according to plan. So in our heads we say, okay, well, this is how we want it to be, and that's how it's gonna go. So we plan it out in our heads, and we think this is how it's gonna happen. And then when then along comes life, and life happens, and then that tends to derail us. And I think that's where a lot of people then end up either falling off the bandwagon or they get stymied because they didn't even think about the fact that you could fail, or somebody could say something that is going to doubt what it is that you're doing. So one of the articles that I found and that I read, so they say, yeah, no matter what you do in life, there will be times when things don't go according to plan, times when everything seems to be working against you, and times when you fail. At moments like these, you feel like giving up and may even suffer from a reduced sense of confidence and self-esteem that makes you feel bad about yourself. The easy thing to do during such times is to quit what we are doing and move on to something else. And that is exactly what they talk about in persistence, is that is not giving up, no matter how difficult it becomes, how what people say, what we think people think of us, whatever the case might be, is that, and that is why our why is so important. So there are really two elements of it, is to figure out why are you doing something, okay, what is the reason that you're doing it, and the second one is how you are going to do it. Those two things are really, really important. And sometimes when we look at how we're going to do it, is we may not have a clear road of exactly how. But it's about us actually starting and then not being put off by the fact that sometimes something is going to happen. And so we've got to learn through the errors and the mistakes that we make. And that's really, so the how sometimes will evolve. Right, yes. So as I say, we're busy talking about persistence, but so we're really going to be challenged to see how persistent we are, and if we're going to give up.
So this Facebook Live has just become a two-part series. Part one has been played. we're now on part 2. So we had, I don't know whose connection was an issue there, but one of us had connection issues, so we dropped that Facebook Live. I don't know if you can remember what you were saying, and that if you want to maybe just continue with what you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was really talking about the importance of the wine, and I was really using the concept of diets and losing weight. You know, so I think probably for a large component of the population, we can relate to wanting to lose weight at some other stage of life, and then there is a component of the population that actually want to gain weight. So I think, you know, whether you want to gain weight or lose weight, always lies the rub, is that that your why, the reason why you're wanting to lose weight, is going to become really important, because if you don't have a strong reason why you want to do that, you are going to fall off the bus the second your friends invite you to a party. You go to a braai and there's the wine's flowing and the chips are on the table and the whatever the case might be. So that is why when you're persistent about something, is that, and in order for you to be successful with that, is you have to have a strong why. Otherwise, you're going to give up. And that is just the reality of it, is that we've got to keep at it. And I think most people, when things really start getting tough, they didn't think that it was going to be so difficult, because in their heads they imagined it, you know, being much easier. But this is how I planned it, and now it's happening like this. And so people really then lose confidence, and they lose confidence in their own ability to be able to do it.
Yes.
And you know, so I just found that when I have a strong reason for doing something, and the reason why I actually chose the topic around losing weight is because that's something that I've recently had to go through. And you know, I was diagnosed pre-diabetic last year.
Yeah.
And suddenly I had an incredibly strong reason as to why I needed to lose weight, because my health was on the line. And because my why was so strong, I was really able to do whatever I needed to do in order to be able to do it. So I gave up drinking, I gave up sugar, I gave up carbs. You know, I haven't had any of those things in 4 months. And you know, so we often always talk about the importance of our why. And when I went through this, I realized that when I'm focused and when I really have a strong reason why I need to do something, it makes you will achieve whatever you need to achieve, because it's so important for you. And and I think that is really, really a key element around persistence, Quinton, is that figure out what is your why. Why are you doing it? You need to have a strong why, because otherwise we're always going to fall off the wagon, because we're being derailed by various things. So I was also reading around, and I want to see if I can quickly find that with, let me see if I can find it here. And I'm trying to, sorry, man, it was just the basketball player, and I'm trying to think of his name now.
So just to, yeah.
Oh, go for it.
No, so just to add to what you were saying now, so I want to just quickly, because we obviously now short on time, we may have to actually just follow through with this next week again. But so what they say is persistence is a state of mind, and therefore it can be cultivated. And exactly what you're saying now, there's a few things that they mentioned that persistence is based upon, and definite causes of persistence is definiteness of purpose, which is what you were saying now, knowing what one wants, desire. It is comparatively easy to acquire and to maintain persistence, pursuing the object of intense desire, something you really want or whatever. Self-reliance, definiteness of plans, accurate knowledge. I can't go through all of these habits, but it definitely, just to touch on what you also said now, is it's quite often when somebody also says, I don't have the time to exercise or whatever it is, with clients, I now change that and say, no, you need to, it's not that you don't have time, it's just it's not a priority for you. So if I had to say to you, listen, if you don't get to the gym every single day for an hour, for the next 7 days, you're going to drop down dead the following day. I promise you, you will have time to get to gym. And you wouldn't have changed your job, you wouldn't have changed your family, nothing changed. It's just it's a priority now, and that's what it boils down to. So,
and I think, and I think that is absolutely 100% key. Is whether it is a priority for you. And as I say, you know, I've been struggling with my weight for quite a long time, but the reality is that you just, you know, I eat a lot, don't eat a lot, I stick up this out, I do that, I do this, I do that. But it got to a point where I seriously needed to go and do something about it, to the extent that I actually ended up going to the doctor. And because I did that, we ended up picking up in my bloods that the reason why I kept up picking up weight is a multiple reasons. But suddenly my health was a crisis. It was an absolute crisis. And because I was in crisis mode, I was forced to go and really be severe in the way that I actually applied the diet. You know, with the result that it's really been successful for me, but that's been my driving force, is that I wanted to wake up tomorrow morning and have a quality of life. So my why and the reason why I'm doing it was absolutely, and like you said, you know, is it's not a priority for you. So if it's not important for you, and there are other things that are more important for you at the time, then you're not going to persist, and you're not going to see it through. That's just the reality of it. And we need to be realistic about it. You know, often we have these dreams of what it is that we want to achieve and what we want to do and how we want our lives to be. But as soon as we've got to go and apply it, and it really takes its time, effort, and when it gets difficult, we've got to just keep going at it, then we give up. And so that you know, what you just said is 100% absolutely key. And
so what I noticed also, what goes hand in hand with I've got everybody messaging me telling me the lives ended, but obviously not on the new one. But basically what goes hand in hand with persistence is also patience. So if you look at a lot of the highly successful guys, and I wanted to go mention one or two of them, but if we've got enough time, but basically the highly successful guys, as much as they are persistent, they're also patient. And I think that goes hand in hand, is that quite often we're not patient enough, so we also don't persist with it long enough, because it's that instant gratification and all those kind of things that we're wanting.
Correct.
So patience and persistence hand in hand, they sort of go together.
And 100%, because the reality is that some things are going to take longer than other things. And you know, I always say that, you know, I didn't pick up weight overnight. so why do I have the expectation that I'm going to be able to lose it overnight? I mean, it's just it's unrealistic. And the thing is that we have to set realistic targets and goals for ourselves. And it's when we set unrealistic goals and targets, and I know most people end up, when you talk about targets and goals, they like glaze over and like, I don't want to hear about those things. But the reality is that in order, yes, it is. But we've got to be realistic about what it is that we set for ourselves. So if we set ridiculous targets for ourselves, then we are actually setting ourselves up to fail from the beginning. So it doesn't matter how persistent I am and how driven I am to achieve my why. I'm not going to if I've set an unrealistic target for myself. And I think that is really important, is that we are realistic about it, and we don't set ourselves up for failure before we've even started.
It seems to be also, when you go and study persistence and go and find information and read about it and stuff, is it's a key element to almost every single person that's really done big things in life. I'm talking about your Elon Musk type guys and those kind of guys. They all there's always persistence involved. Exactly for what you're saying. They just have this value or this mindset or this mental strength of being able to day in, day out, just keep on going, just keep on. And I'm going to share just now just 4 things that you need to develop persistence, which is awesome, because persistence is like a muscle again. So it's something you can actually build, like self-confidence. You build self-confidence. So you can actually build persistence and that, which is again a good thing. It's not something you're just naturally born with, that you've got good genes. It's something that you got to work on, practice, and I suppose it's what you were saying now with goals and that as well. There's effort involved, you know. It's not just something that happens on its own.
Well, I think that's important, is to realize that there is effort going to be required. It's, you know, I think some people go into things thinking, oh, this is going to be easy and I'm going to, it's, you know, it's going to be no problem. Exactly, I've got it, exactly. And then suddenly when they hit the first obstacle, they're like, oh hell, well, this is going to be a lot more difficult than I actually thought. You know, and that is why people get derailed. As well, and it's you know, so the example I was going to give you around basketball and Magic Johnson, and what he was saying is that he was at school, he was told that he's not good enough to play basketball, right? But he decided that I wanted to do this, and he kept on going, and he kept on practicing, and he kept on doing what he needed to do. But he could have given up at that point in time when he was told that you're not good enough. But he knew that he could be good enough. But he realized also that he needed to become better at certain things. So I might think that I'm really great and good at it, and when somebody else tells you, well, actually not as good as you think, all right? He then just saw that as a challenge to say, okay, well, clearly there are things that I need to improve on. There are things that I need to work on so that I can get it to the point where I am good enough. And and that's the important thing, you know. So it's really, so he had really incredible self-belief in himself, and that is, I think, a key element as well, Quinton, is that you have to believe in yourself. And there are going to be times where you are going to be swayed, or somebody's going to say something, and that is going to impact your belief in yourself. But I think what's important is that you're going to have to work on those things as well. And sometimes, and you know, we talk about Uncle Cyril chatting this evening. You know, one of the things that I started doing is consciously not watch certain things, consciously not listen to the news, or consciously cut out the negatives in life. So I choose what I want to read and what I want to expose myself to. You know, and those things are important when it comes to your self-confidence, is how you choose to listen to people and what it is that you choose to expose yourself to. And in Magic Johnson's instance, he chose not to allow people to tell him that he's not good enough. And that's really important. So I'll catch up with Uncle Cyril now, because I know that the news will report it and summarize
it'll be all on Facebook just now, everybody complaining.
Exactly. So I don't have to hear it firsthand.
I want to just point out something interesting. So you said now with Magic Johnson about him realizing that he's got to upskill himself, basically. That he's not good enough right now, but it doesn't mean that he's not going to be not good enough in a year or two. And on my notes here, I've got here symptoms of lack of persistence. And my point number 4, lack of interest in acquiring specialized knowledge. So it's exactly what you're saying now. So that was just interesting that you mentioned, ties up exactly what I've got here as well. All right, I think if we, you know, I know we both got to be on another call now. So I think what we can do is we'll put a pin in this one, and then just retouch on it next week again, and try do it again, and yeah, we'll do a retake, if you want to call it. Hopefully Cyril's also not talking. Yeah. But we'll show you what persistence is about, because we'll persist on the subject, and we'll get it right. We won't be derailed by this the Facebook Live and the challenge that we faced with. You know, so a few things also. If you were watching this on Facebook, it's going to be posted through to Juanita's page, Be Brave, Be Free, or Success Mastermind. It will also be recorded. We're also downloading. We're putting it onto YouTube. So you might be watching this at the later stage with Juanita on her channel, her YouTube channel, or Success Mastermind. Whichever channel you're watching it on, go and subscribe, because we're going to be doing this on a weekly basis. So what it allows is every time there's a new video uploaded, it notifies you of that upload. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. It was short and sweet, and then we'll chat again next week.
Awesome. Thanks.
Cool.
Thanks, Quinton.
Cheers, Juanita. Cheers,
Bye-bye.